Hi everybody, I'm Mike. Today I'm going to be talking to you about some learning techniques that I've been studying this semester, and we're going to talk about how they can all help you improve your learning. So first things first, take some time to read this passage. After about 30 seconds or so, I'm going to switch the slide, and you guys are going to write down everything you remember. All right, everybody stop. Now we're going to move into some riddles. So take a moment. All right, let's start with the first one. So what's your thought process?
So my thought process was, I started thinking about the roof, and then I reread it one more time, and I saw that it was a rooster. And so, roosters don't lay eggs, only chickens do. One, other birds, but.
Awesome. Very good. All right, Kira. Looking at the second one, what are you thinking?
Well, at first when I read it, I noticed wood stove, and so that made me think, okay, if I light like wood, that's gonna burn more than brick and glass would. But when I light it first, you light up a match first, but then you use that fire from that match light up the stove. So you'd light the match stick first.
Wow. All right, so here are the answers. Look at you guys, killing it. Awesome. So now let's talk about some of the study skills you just used or are about to use. So let's start with interleaved practice. So interleaved practice involves studying multiple topics at one time instead of only focusing on one subject. So it's the opposite of what all of us college kids do on a regular basis, cramming material right before an exam. So something that is actually kind of a misconception about interleaved practice is the use of note cards. So I personally love to use note cards. And this semester in particular, I started to mix up the order and include other subjects in my note cards so that when I'm studying these note cards, it's not so much cramming, memorizing a specific order. It's forcing me to recall information at a later date to apply to the situation. And it's more effective in learning and learning for a long period of time. So then there's retrieval practice. So retrieval practice is the act of recalling information from something that you've already been taught. So it's seen very commonly, especially at U of A in testing, right? So, but this can even be applied in something as small as like a riddle, just like we did, right? So the retrieval practice forced you to use knowledge that you already have for the wood stove or the rooster, right? To come up with an answer. So this can be applied to many situations, and even something like the summary what we did. You read something and immediately you were asked to retrieve information from your memory about what you just read. And that could actually be really effective. So the next topic is elaboration and generation. So elaboration is the process of finding a new layer of meaning in something. So if you're able to elaborate about a concept, right? If I'm able to come up to you and say, the sky is blue, and explain to you why, because of all the concentration in the atmosphere and all this stuff, and that would be way more effective for me learning the material and remembering the material for a long term than just saying, oh, the sky is blue because the sky is blue, right? So the next thing is generation. So generation is a technique that involves you to come up with an answer by yourself using context that you know instead of just recalling information from memory. So now I'm going to give you guys a little quiz. Here are 2 questions from the passage you read in the first slide. Let me know what you guys have an answer. All right, let's take a look. How'd you guys do?
Good.
Awesome. So now let me ask you a question. If I didn't ask you to reflect and summarize what you just read right after you read it, do you think that you would have really remembered any of these answers.
No, it would be a lot more difficult.
Right? It was a really specific passage. So the sting and Olympus, those are small details, but if you wrote it down right after you read it, you're more likely to remember it in the long term. And you're going to be more likely to retrieve it from memory and apply it to a situation just like this. So all in all, we learned about interleave practice, retrieval practice, generation, and elaboration. So these are just a few of the techniques that if used properly can improve your learning in all things in life, whether it's, learning a new math concept, differential equations or whatever, or doing something as simple as riding a bike and learning how to wheelie. So you're in charge of your own learning. It's really important to recognize your flaws so you can accommodate accordingly. And also, the use of these techniques will hopefully stick with you for longer than just a short period of time. You'll be able to use them for many years to come.